Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. On September 4th, an article came out regarding the Expanse Osiris Reborn, which of course is Owlcat's new sci-fi epic that many of us are eagerly anticipating. Now, the article came out on a website called WCCF Tech. I've never been on their site before, but apparently some of their journalists had been at Gamescom, played the game, and got the opportunity to interview a couple of Owlcat devs. And in the process, they were able to get some tidbits that I at least hadn't heard before. And so I thought many of you would be excited about this information as well. Before we get into everything that the article has, let me remind everyone that pre-orders are currently available for Osiris Reborn. I've had people come into multiple streams saying that they were waiting for this game to be available for purchase, which was odd to me. So I just want to remind everyone that, hey, that time is already here. If you want to go ahead and pre-order the game, I would definitely recommend that you do so now. The collector's edition looks pretty sweet, so I definitely plan to get a copy once my money isn't looking quite so funny. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into some of the things that the article talks about, starting with what I'm sure many of you want to know about: the release date. Now, the writers of this article mentioned that they do not believe the game is going to release in 2026. That's not based on anything that Owlcat devs said specifically. They're just looking at the overall situation, and it doesn't appear likely that we would get the game next year. And frankly, I am in the same boat. So first and foremost, the version of the game that was available at Gamescom is still in alpha, so they have not went into beta yet. Now, historically, the way Owlcat has done things is that when they go into beta, they provide an early beta release of the game for the general public, and they use that as a period to stamp out a lot of the bugs, and this lasts for usually around 6 to 7 months, and then they give us the full game. And based upon that schedule, you might think that the game will come out next year. But the problem is there are so many aspects of this development that Owlcat has never done. And the devs do talk about in this article that it's taking longer for them to create this game than it typically would for them to create the games they have done in the past. First and foremost, The Expanse is a AAA action RPG, when of course they're used to CRPGs. It's being done by a totally different team. So the two devs who were interviewed for this article, one of them is the game design director, Leonid Rasterguev, and he is completely new to the team. He did not work on Rogue Trader or any of the Pathfinder games. Now, the other person they interviewed was game design producer Yulia Chernenko, who worked on the Pathfinder games. And Chernenko definitely made it clear they feel like working on this has been a very, very different animal. A couple of other differences, of course, they're using Unreal Engine, which Owlcat has always developed games on Unity previously, so that's very different from them as well. Osiris Reborn is being made as a console first game, which is also a first for Owlcat. All their other games were definitely PC first and then ported over to console. And then on top of all that, the storytelling style that they're using for Osiris Reborn is going to be very, very heavy on cinematics. So they talked a little bit about this in the article, that they're going for cinematic storytelling as opposed to the book style storytelling that Owlcat has previously been known for. And so all of that together makes this a very, very different dev cycle. And again, the devs themselves did not say that the game won't come out in 2026, but writer of this article definitely feels like that doesn't seem feasible, and I would agree that most likely we're looking at a 2027 release date for the game at its earliest. All right, with that out the way, let's go ahead and dig into some of the other things that the article talked about. So, general details: the game, they expect for it to be around 20 to 30 hours, basically the same length as Expedition 30 33, which is again a sharp departure from what Owlcat has done previously. All of their other games have basically been around 100 hours. The game is going to briefly start closed off where you're kind of on a linear path, and then it will quickly open up to the point where the entire solar system is available for you to explore. So you'll be able to visit Earth, Luna, Mars, Ceres Station, Ganymede, and Io, and there's going to be a ton of side content, and much of the content in the game will revolve around your party members. So really, really cool stuff. Owlcat mentioned they are collaborating closely with Owlcon Interactive, and that Owlcon is checking all of the major story beats for the game. Now, Owlcat Interactive is an entertainment production company that produced the Expanse TV show that was on for around 5 or 6 seasons. Absolutely fantastic show. If you haven't looked at it yet, I would highly recommend you do so. In case you're curious, they've also produced Blade Runner 2049 and the Garfield movies. So a bunch of major productions that Owlcat has been involved in before, and hopefully this will turn out to be a positive partnership for the game. Moving into character customization, your character will be fully customizable. You are going to be able to choose between having a background of a belter, an earther, or a Martian. Now, all of these different types of humans have been affected by gravity. So in the case of belters, they're used to being in low gravity because they live on the asteroid belt. So these characters are typically going to be tall, and they're going to have very brittle bones. Not sure if that's going to result in any sort of gameplay changes if you decide to take this background. And then when it comes to earthers, they're much shorter due to the high gravity environments that they come from. And then finally, Martians are average height, but they're also very bulky due to the heavy training that Martians go through, because culturally they're much more focused on their military compared to the other two options. The game is going to focus much more on culture than the show did. So they're going to do things like having the belters speak Creole and using more hand signals, because the belters operate a lot in space where oftentimes you have to be able to function without sound. So they're used to using hand signals in order to communicate with each other. All of this was emphasized much more heavily in the books compared to the TV show. You'll be able to play as a male or female, and you'll also have a twin who will be the same gender as you and will also have similar facial features to yours, although their hair can potentially be different. There will be skills in the game, but that system hasn't been fleshed out yet, so Owlcat can't talk much about it. One of the skills will be persuasion, and the skills will be decided by a flat check, not a dice roll. So either you have enough or you don't. Skill failures will not lock you out of main story content. However, there might be large areas of optional content that are locked away from you because you don't have the proper skills in order to be able to experience them. Choice will play a significant role in the game. An example was provided in this article where early in the game you're going to go back to the Pink Water Security Station where you are from, and you're going to arrive there with a ship that has been stolen, and another mercenary group is going to come to the station trying to take that ship back, and you'll have the option of either trying to persuade the chief of your station to support and help you and subsequently put people in the station in danger, or you can decide to just make a run for it yourself and take on all of the danger yourself. And one thing that changes based on what decision you make is the armory that is available at the Pink Water Security Station. So if you decide to have the station defend itself on your behalf, then the armory will be completely depleted so that all of the people present will be able to arm themselves. But if you decide to go on the run, then when you finally come across the armory, all of that weaponry will still be available there, and you'll be able to loot it for yourself and take it with you. So again, Owlcat plans to make choices choice a big part of the game, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out. Companions are also a major focus. In fact, one of the devs called them the main focus of the game. Now, you will have romanceable companions, but not all of them will be romanceable. When you're out and about exploring, some conversations might automatically start based on the companions who are with you. Companions do have skill trees, but they are very limited to whatever role that companion has, as opposed to your main character, who can pretty much just pick from whatever mechanics you want that character to have. You can switch out the equipment of your party members. When you're heading out to missions, you'll be able to pick 2 party members that will directly accompany you. The other ones who remain on the ship will still participate in the mission in different ways. Now, how they participate depends on the companion. Different party members have different ways in which they can assist you during a mission. So for example, Zafar can provide guidance during missions, letting you know about potential enemies coming up, or perhaps lead you to alternative paths that would be better for you to enter into certain fights. Jay can help you to exploit structural weaknesses during combat as well. These party members must be manually assigned to their role. Owlcat said that they were directly inspired by what BioWare did with the Mass Effect 2 Suicide mission. Now, for those of you who never played that game, basically in the last mission, all of your party members, and there was a ton of them, I think around 10 or something around that range, all of them participated. And what ended up happening was a series of sequences where you would have 2 party members with you who were assisting in combat, and then there was another party member who was trying to accomplish a certain task, whether it be crawling through a tunnel, getting a door on the other side unlocked, or something of that sort. So basically, everyone that you had brought with you up to that point came together and tried to help overcome the challenges of this mission that many of you felt like was absolutely impossible. Really cool stuff. I love that Owlcat decided to go this route. Mass Effect 2 is one of my all-time favorite games, and it makes me even more excited to see what they're attempting to do with the Expanse. Owlcat is hoping that this system helps to really differentiate the game from other action RPG titles, and based on what I'm reading, I think it absolutely will. Keep in mind that sometimes these options you have for party members who are not directly with you require some degree of trust. So Owlcat mentioned a option where you could be walking along and see a hatch that will allow you to quickly escape, but then one of your party members comes on the comms and says they could do something that would allow you to escape even faster from where you are right now. You have to trust the party member enough to actually come through on what they're suggesting, and then if you go along with their solution, that's definitely going to please them and make them feel like you trust their capabilities. But obviously, if you don't, then it might be best to use another option. Moving on to combat, there will be no stealth or melee combat available in this game. So it is all about run in and gun everything down. There are over 24 different weapons that you'll be able to choose from. Many battles, as I kind of mentioned earlier, have more than one approach. And so sometimes there'll be a particularly good angle for you to get into a fight, but you've got to figure out how to find these different paths. Health regenerates while you're behind cover, but enemies are constantly moving and trying to flank you out of cover. There's an ability that allows you to see enemies behind covers, and if you're using armor piercing bullets, you can hit enemies through covers. Keep in mind also that environments are very destructible, including covers. So you might just go ahead and try to destroy whatever enemies are hiding behind, but that works both ways. Enemies, if they can't just flank you, might destroy the cover that you are hiding behind, making you significantly more vulnerable. Owlcat is looking at potentially adding friendly fire into the game, but they haven't made a decision yet. They are thinking it might be tied to difficulty, where if you're at higher difficulty levels, then friendly fire is something that you have to worry about. And then finally, Owlcat says that there are going to be many zero gravity space segments in the game, and that they're putting a lot of effort into making these segments engaging. They really want Osiris Reborn to be as hard sci-fi as possible and show space as dangerous. You will hear sound during these scenarios because your magnetic boots are touching the station's surface, so you are getting the vibrations through that equipment. You can also walk on any surface and the camera will adjust to an appropriate angle. Sliding and some other types of motions will be easier in low gravity environments, but at the same time, some types of movements will be significantly more risky because you can drift out into space and die. And that brings an end to all the information that I felt like was interesting from that article. The more I hear about the Expanse Osiris Reborn, the more excited I get, even as a hardcore CRPG player who would love to see Owlcat do as many CRPGs as possible. I cannot deny that a lot of what I'm hearing here sounds very compelling. I've waited a long time to play a game that felt like it was a true successor to Mass Effect's legacy, and hopefully this might be it. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Hit that like button if you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm absolutely going to be doing a lot more content on this game, so let me know if there's any other videos you want to see. Hope all of you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.